So today I want to talk about something that happened to me last year. It's a little bit uncomfortable for me. It's a bit raw, so it's not my usual bubbly post that I normally post. But this is my story and my experience and what happened to me last year in prep. So this person that I'm about to talk about, I'm not quite comfortable naming him yet. We'll see how that goes. But just those of you that followed my prep last year will know who I'm talking about. And part of the reason why I want to talk out about it is because this is the scary situation in this industry and the bodybuilding industry, that he's so well known. It's quite scary because he's affiliated with big brands. He's sponsored by brands. He's actually a judge on the PCA panel. And another reason why it's been so hard to talk about it, but I think a lot of people are afraid to, and I just know, I was afraid to get some backlash from talking out about it, but I've come to terms with the fact that I need to be that person to break that mold, because I got to stay true to who I am. People that know me and know me in person, I literally have a no F attitude. If I've got something to say, I'm going to say it, and I'm not scared anymore. And it just needs to be, more awareness needs to be brought out, especially in this industry, because sometimes, guys, coaches that talk the talk online doesn't necessarily mean they've got your best interest at heart. So let's take it back to the beginning, where bodybuilding was a massive passion of mine, always a dream to get on stage, but that quickly spiraled into something that became very uncomfortable, very unnatural. But I didn't really know much about the industry, so I kind of accepted that. So I signed up with this person to go through prep me for my first year of competing, and the first year was amazing. He was amazing, couldn't fault him. He was had my back, he was there all the time, diets were there, he would meet up all the time with me, really had my back mentally, and he was great, couldn't fault him. And this is where we sort of built up a friendship, where he would make out like we were friends, and I'm always going to be there for you. We were friends, built up trust. But then this quickly, the second year, turned into where that trust and friendship was sort of used against you in scenarios that were not okay. Okay, so let's talk about where the red flags started to show. I think the first kind of thing was when he would promise in-person check-ins, or he'd promise in-person sessions, and then he would be a no-show. No message, no oh, I'm really sorry, and I would be rearranging clients, getting childcare, and literally stood behind the desk waiting for him. But then the sessions that he would turn up for, he would be on social media saying, in-person check-in with this client, blah blah blah, so he looked good, when actually he was just here to have food and on the Stairmaster and do his own cardio because he was prepping for his own show. And then I would go into the posing room, go and get my bikini on, and he would be in there in his pants doing his own check-in video, asking me to do his check-in video, which when I look back now is just really not okay, where you're stood there in your bikini, he's there in his pants rolled up, you're doing his video, and then he's looking at you and touching you while you're in your bikini doing your check-in, which when you look back is kind of nuts, yeah? And just not okay. So I think for me, that was the first red flag, but at the time I just didn't notice, and I just accepted that that was normal. So I think the second red flag for me was not getting back to check-ins, literally 1 week, another week. And then I remember thinking to myself, I'm at a point where I need to start doing a body recomp. I was walking around feeling heavy. And I remember changing my own diet, and I dropped 13 pounds in 3 weeks, and he didn't even notice. So that to me then was a massive red flag, that he just wasn't paying attention to me. And I get he was started his own prep last year. He was going through prep, we were going through prep at the same time. So I get as a competitor, I get that, you're putting yourself first, you're looking after yourself, and the more in depth of the prep you get, the darker it gets, the more you do, you are more self-absorbed, and people that have been through prep will understand this. So I think I kind of understood to a certain level why and I think that's why I kind of was just brushing it off and accepting it to be a bit more, oh, it's okay, oh, it's all right, we're friends, he's probably busy. But kind of, that was the second red flag to me, where he just wasn't paying attention to me and a bit more self-absorbed. But at the end of the day, like, I'm paying you money. We're friends, but I'm paying you for a service that I weren't getting. So then came the drugs. So the first year competing, obviously there were PED use. I've never claimed to be natural. If you've looked at my page before, I've spoken about this before. But it was quite light. And then the second year, like, the drug use really ramped up. Things that really didn't make sense to me, and I started questioning his like, having my well-being and my mental state at the forefront of his mind, really. And, you know, at the end of the day, being a coach, you're supposed to look after your athlete no matter what. And, you know, we were supposed to be friends. You don't really treat friends like that. So even if it was more on a deeper level of being friends, then you'd think you'd want to look after your friends. By the end of the day, I was paying him. He was my coach. I was paying him a lot of money, and that's what I was paying him for. I was paying him to look after me, have my mental well-being. But this is where, like, everything started to take a really drastic turn. Obviously, drugs, PED use has a massive effect on your mental health, your well-being, your health in general. And you know, anybody that's been in contest prep, you're low on food, you're low on energy, you're still getting up for the kids, you're still doing the school run, you're still coming to work, you're still doing everything that you're meant to be doing on very little food. And then you're being pumped full of all these drugs, and that takes a toll. It takes a toll on your body, but not just that, it takes a toll on your mental health. And unless you're somebody that's actually been through the dregs of prep, that's when you really understand what this does to you. These drugs really do mess with your head. I wasn't the same person I am now, and partly that's why I was afraid to talk out, afraid to say anything to him. I was afraid I was going to have backlash. I was afraid that, you know, he was a judge, so maybe he could talk to other judges and I wasn't going to get placed, and, you know, all the politics side of things. And obviously not taking all these drugs now and being in a much better mental state is maybe why I'm able to talk about it now. But, like, it really, really did affect me, and it still affects me now. So this is something that I just really want to reiterate to people, that you're probably thinking in the beginning when I spoke about being in that posing room in my bikini and him in his pants, like, well, why did you do it? Because I wasn't myself. You know, you're not in the same frame of mind that you are when you're not in prep. You're just not. And you accept things, you take things as face value, you don't see what's really going on. You don't see the bigger picture, and you don't see how vulnerable you are and how you're being taken advantage of and mistreated and, you know, really abused. Taking all those drugs, like I said, has a toll on you physically. So peak week came around, the drugs were being pumped in, food was taken right down, and this is where it really affected my stomach, which happened to me the year before. Same coach, same protocol, and just, like, really messed my stomach up. This is where I started becoming really sick, throwing up all the time, food not digesting, really bad acid reflux. And, like, for anybody that knows anything about health, your gut is, like, the number one factor. If you're not like digesting food, you're not absorbing nutrients, you're not getting anything, like, you are probably in the worst place to do a prep. But first show I came second in the PCA Welsh, was absolutely brilliant. And then obviously loads of feel-good feelings. You know, still haven't got 100% trust in him, but it kind of, like, softened the blow because I came second. Then a week later, or 2 weeks later, I decided to do another show, and this is where the other big drugs started, like, coming into play. And was given Superdrol, which is, for anybody who knows anything about PEDs, this is absolutely something that should never be given to a female, ever. So if you're a female athlete out there and you've got a coach that ever offers you this drug, just say no. Say no. It is a very potent steroid that men take. So I took it for the first time. Again, I came second in my class. I came first then in Masters in that show. And again, this is where you're low on food. This is where like all these highs, you got these lows of prep, but then you've got these highs where you're winning, you're getting trophies. You know, you look insane, you're in the best shape of your life. You think, oh my God, look at me. So then you start accepting that taking these things are okay. And then comes the British finals. So after the second show, I sat down with my coach and he literally says to me, oh, you know, it won't harm to take Superdrol for 10 days before the show. He's telling you, you're not ready, you need to be leaner, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh my God, I'll do anything in this moment. I'll do anything, I'm nearly there. Oh my God, I could win the British finals, blah, blah, blah. So then he says, oh, it won't harm. This is your coach, this is somebody you're supposed to trust. You think, oh, I won't harm then. You know, it's not gonna harm to just take this. On top of everything else that I was taking, by the way. So, 10 days out, I start taking this Superdrol every day. Every day I'm throwing up. Every day I'm really sick. I message him, he tells me, you know, this isn't his fault, it's not his problem, it's nothing he's given me, again, screenshots. So I am really sick, not digesting anything, and I was at this point, I seeked help from somebody else, which is another coach, because I thought at the time I can't come out of another prep in this state with my stomach. So I went to see another coach who I signed up with at the time, who I'm with now actually, to literally look after me coming out of the other side of prep, because I was this stage. I started getting really worried and started getting a bit scared for my own health. So I needed to know that when I came out of this British finals, like I was going to be looked after by a coach, because my coach was not looking after me. So that moving on from that, I was taking this Superdrol every day, being sick, throwing up. My coach was barely around. I remember like messaging him. He was meant to come up and see me. I messaged him. He said, oh, I'm not training today now. I'm going to train tomorrow down this gym. Are you free? And I'm like, well, doesn't matter whether you're training, I'm paying you. So again, these are these red flags, guys, yeah? So I'm paying you for a service. I don't care when you're training. This is my peak week, this is my show, this is what I've worked all year for. You're supposed to be here. Doesn't matter whether we're friends, this is what I pay you for. So it was at this point, I was just done, so done. I went to the British finals on the Saturday before. You know, I was having like my meal sent over last minute. They were chat GTP'd. They were the same as everyone else's on the team. And I didn't hear of him pretty much all Saturday. We were staying in the same hotel. I was really upset. I was ready to go home and jack it all in because I was really unwell. So I heard of him on the morning, 7 o'clock of the morning of the show. Literally, are you up? I was like, yeah, we're in the same hotel. Didn't see him the day before. Comes down, looks at me, and I was like, I told him I was ready to go home. And he said, oh, well, you know, I was traveling all day yesterday to my show. I was stuck in the car with my son and my blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great, but again, I'm paying you. It doesn't matter, you were sat in the car for 10 hours and you couldn't even message me back. Like, I'm paying you. Whether or not you're competing or not, I'm paying you. We are paying you. There are loads of other people in my situation, guys. I'm not the only person. So this is where, like, I really hope other people start stepping in and talking out more about what happened last year, because I'm not the only person. So anyway, he then says, right, let's have a look at you. And then comes the drugs. Big stack of drugs to take, and this is where things started to go really wrong. I went back to my room, took everything he told me to take, was getting ready, doing my makeup, and then I started having like really bad nosebleeds. I was throwing up. I'm getting really emotional talking about this, but I was having nosebleeds. I was really unwell. I remember wiping my face, thinking, right, oh no, it's okay, it's okay. I remember thinking that, feeling this pain between my eye, but I got through it. I got down to the check-in and registering him. I told him when I seen him that, you know, I was having nosebleeds, and he was like, oh, do you normally have them? I said no, and he just went, oh right, okay, nothing. I was at this point, me and my husband as well, we sat away from them because, like, I just wasn't well, and I wasn't comfortable sitting with them, being around them. And then I was, trying to keep my head on, thinking, right, this is the last dance, we've got to like just keep my head strong. And then he said, right, we're going to drop this, we're going to drop another super drop, we're going to drop this. And I was literally saying to him, like, can we cut this in half? Because I literally feel like my eye is about to bulge out of my head. I've had another nosebleed, I've had to redo my makeup twice. And he was like, all right, yeah, okay, maybe that'll be good. I was going to pump up backstage. And I just remember walking through feeling really hot, really sick. And I remember, picking up these weights and pumping up, and everyone's there looking at you, you're on the side of the stage, and like you've got this adrenaline running through you, and you see everyone so happy and excited, and I'm stood there, my heart was racing, and then I would just go really hot, and then all of a sudden my heart would go really slow. The colour would just drain from me, everything started going woof, woof. And I remember standing there looking at my husband thinking, just don't die. You're literally about to get on stage, just don't die. And I actually got on stage. I came second in Britain, which was phenomenal. But you know what? Just thinking back to that moment was awful. Just thinking, like, just don't die. It was so bad. And I can't believe that I actually put myself through that, because it's just not worth it. Your health is just not worth it. But all this because I trusted someone with my health. And just because they make out like your friends, they just didn't care about me at all. I feel like now is the time to talk out about these things in the industry, because there just seems to be this big movement of women being brave enough to come out and talk about how these coaches took advantage of them. And I just want to say to the hundreds of people that I know this has happened to by this coach, that you come out and you talk in these comments. Don't be afraid anymore, because like, if I know I've saved someone's life, if I know that I've helped somebody by telling you what happened to me and what he did to me, and just talking to people in the community, and like the messages I've had of people saying about what he did to you, and just, I really do hope you all come together and you speak out about what's happened to you. And for those of you that aren't with this coach but have gone through similar things in the industry, I really plead with you to seek better coaches. And I think this industry now just needs to do better.